Hey guys, it's Courtney here from Rose Bloom, where we intentionally design our life and business with the cosmos. And today I'm going to talk to you guys about the Scorpio New Moon, which is happening on the night of October 14th, and it's going to be happening at 23 degrees of Scorpio. So, as always, I highly recommend pulling up your own birth chart and locating where 23 degrees of Scorpio is. For example, I know that I have Pluto at 23 degrees of Scorpio, so this moon is going to be exactly conjunct my natal Pluto, which is going to affect or change the way that this new moon changes me or affects me. So it's really helpful to know that. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what we can expect from this new moon. First of all, I just wanted to say that this new moon is conjunct an asteroid called Juno. And Juno is a marriage asteroid, but it really represents our devotion to something. And devotion, I guess, past the point of sanity almost. Like you're so devoted to it that it doesn't necessarily matter if it's hurting you or helping you, you're in it. And so I feel like this energy already with Scorpio, which is a very ambitious sign, combined with Juno, is telling us to give ourselves fully over to our ambitions or our dreams or our goals. So, whatever it is in your life that you have been wanting to make progress with and haven't necessarily made that progress lately, this is your chance. Mars is just now moving direct, and the day after it moves direct, we have this new moon coming in and saying, this is a time to plant the seed of intention of the actions that you want to take to move forward to strive towards your goals. This new moon is going to be very, very positive. And just make sure that you stay tuned to your rising sign. And you can always find the links in the description. But I'll give you guys what that's going to look like specifically for you, and then of course the overall energy. So as I was mentioning, this new moon is looking really, really positive, which is something that I feel like we have needed for a long time. Scorpio is inherently a more challenging sign. It requires more out of us. And so there are going to be some elements there where we're going to have to move through shadows and really believe in ourselves in order for that ambition to get us somewhere. So inherently that's kind of built into Scorpio. However, it's being really positively supported through the different angles that it's making to planets. First of all, it's making a sextile to Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and the asteroid Pallas Athena. So all of these are really saying that it's going to be a wonderful time to start new projects, for new opportunities to start flowing. Whenever there is a sextile to Jupiter, is basically saying that all the benevolent energy of Jupiter is coming to lift you up and support you. On top of that, not only is it a good time to make connections, make opportunities happen, for changes to occur, it's also going to be supported by a strong work ethic with a sextile to Saturn, saying that if you put in the work, you will get something out of it and it will be rewarding for you. And then on top of that, with Pluto, with a sextile to Pluto, you're going to have more inner reserves. You're going to have that inner fire and passion in order to make these things like happen. And it's really beautiful to have the support from Pluto, especially with a new moon in Scorpio, because Pluto is the ruling planet of Scorpio. So they have very similar energies. So they are working in harmony together, basically saying that you can absolutely achieve whatever your ambition desires if you just put in the time and the effort. And again, that's going to require you to undergo some deep inner transformation in order for that to occur, which means it's not going to necessarily be handed to us or be easy, but it's possible. And it's like this first seed of light that we're starting to receive after so many challenging things happening, after so many retrogrades. It's like finally that go ahead. On top of that, Jupiter is conjunct Pluto, or that just happened recently. So essentially what that means is that this is a strong manifestation energy. It can also sort of multiply the negative things in our life, and I've mentioned this time and time again. So it's going to be really important for you to focus your thoughts on positive things at this time. So direct your energy into things where it's actually going to bear fruit for you, where it's actually going to bring things into your life, instead of focusing on the things that are out of your control or the things that are negative that are happening in this world. And then it's making a sextile to Pallas Athena, which I think is really interesting that there are two key feminine asteroids playing a role here. Juno, which is showing us to invest ourselves into what we're doing, mind, body, and soul. And then Pallas Athena is coming in here to support, saying that there is this inner warrior within us that can overcome all the obstacles. And we are being supported to show that inner warrior and to use that within our work. So if you feel like you're coming up against obstacles, you can pull on that Pallas Athena energy to then support you and help you throughout this process. On top of this, it's making a trine to Neptune. So I do feel like there is a deeper spiritual backing behind what we're doing. The universe is giving us the green light, the go ahead, saying, we support you. We want you to be working on this right now. And so this trine is a really beautiful thing. At the same time, sometimes trines to Neptune can make us feel like a little bit lazier, but I feel like with all the other energy, it's more of a spiritual aspect rather than, an aspect of laziness. So I would say take the time to meditate, take the time to ground yourself and ensure that the action that you are moving forward with is something that feels spiritually aligned, because I don't think you will actually be able to last throughout all the challenges unless you are spiritually aligned with that path. So it has to have like a deeper, more purposeful why for you in order for this to really bear fruit 6 months from now when we have the full moon in Scorpio. So those are the aspects that are happening specifically to the Scorpio moon. And now I'm just going to talk about what else is going on in the sky that is not interacting necessarily with the moon. So we have a tense angle, a square between Venus and Jupiter, Venus and Saturn, Venus and Pluto, and Venus and Pallas Athena. So basically all that positive energy that was just supporting us, it's still making a tense angle with Venus. And what that means is that the area around money and relationships can feel quite tense at this time. There might still be some unresolved issues, some things that need to have tension in order for you to take action to resolve them. On top of that, what I really think about with Venus is our perspective about the beauty in life and feeling really optimistic, feeling really loved, feeling really supported. And while I do think that this moon is supporting us, I also think that we won't necessarily feel like this light and fluffy feeling around this this new moon. And I think that's a given, knowing what's going on in the world around us at this time. So that also could be the possibility coming in with this square to Venus, is that yes, we're making action. Yes, we are taking action. Yes, we are making progress, but it's not necessarily going to feel as light and easy as we want it to already. The other aspect of this, if we take it kind of bit by bit and look at each square, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend because you want to look at the whole picture, but some of these keywords can kind of fit together to create a whole picture. So I'm going to break it down for you anyway. So when we have a Venus squared to Jupiter, this can often represent, again, like this like laziness, because Venus is us enjoying things in our life, and so is Jupiter. And so when these are making a conversation with each other, we don't necessarily always have like the stamina to desire hard work to make things happen. So that's a possibility that we might have to overcome. We've had this like months of stagnation with Mars retrograde that we might have to like kick things into high gear, but we've already kind of developed this habit of taking things a little bit easier or doing things a little bit slower and things not progressing. So that shift into a different gear might jolt us a little bit, and this square might be challenging us in that way to make that shift or make that progress. Venus making a square to Saturn can make us feel less harmonious within our relationships. So it can make us feel disheartened about the people in our lives. It can make us feel lonely or like we are further distanced from those that we love. And I think that makes a lot of sense given what's happening with the election. I think a lot of people are celebrating and a lot of people are saddened by that. And so there is this discord that is happening already. So that Venus square Saturn makes a lot of sense. However, this energy obviously will be moving quickly past. It's not going to be hanging out there forever. And then Venus square Pluto, this can bring some toxicity coming up through relationships. And I feel like this is going to be more so in global relationships, like in politics, how people are fighting back. There can be manipulation, there can be scandals, and that is really where like the Venus square Pluto, I think, will come into play. So I think as a global or as a collective, community, we will experience these energies in that type of way, where there's going to be still tenseness going on in relationships with people, still manipulation and power issues related to economics and related to politics. I mean, those things have always been existing, but I think they will be more so at the forefront during this new moon as well. But still, besides all that, we're still going to be making personal progress and even, collective progress towards being more evolved and towards going after our dreams. So the last point that I want to talk about before I get into each of the signs is Mercury is making a quincunx to Chiron and is opposing Uranus. So Mercury has been opposing Uranus for a while now. And whenever it's opposing Uranus, it's giving us surprising news or brand new ideas, breakthroughs. It's like the genius strike. But again, it can also be surprising news, unexpected things, or I guess like a way of viewing things or new insights that come in that kind of jolt you. And because it's making such a harsh angle to Chiron, there's this news or this insight is coming in order to help us heal. But I think instead of helping us heal, it's going to feel quite painful. So maybe this is something that will have to come to a resolution at a later point in time. But I feel like right now, whatever news starts to come in around this new moon is not going to be, is going to be painful for some people, if not all people. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm not sure what's going to come to fruition, but there can be choice words with people that you love, or there could be news that comes in regards to politics or the environment or the economy. I feel like something is going to be happening at that time that's going to feel quite painful or uncomfortable. And then I'm going to talk to you guys about where that might fall in your own personal chart. Okay, up next we have Leo risings. So for you guys, this new moon is happening in your 4th house of home and family. So it's also making a sextile to Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto that are moving through your 6th house. Okay, interesting. So what came through strongly, just as I said that, first of all, is that you guys have been likely dealing with a lot in regards to like your own self-talk, because having Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in the 6th house this is the house that's traditionally ruled by a Virgo. And normally when I think of the 6th house, I think of like your work, like your everyday work, your daily routines, your health. And I still think those things have been really adjusted and transformed this past year. However, I also think that since this is the house that rules over Virgo, I think that this energy has also been moving through the way that you show up and speak to yourself. Virgos tend to be the most self-critical sign. There can be a real pressure for perfectionism. And I think it can lead to a lot of anxiety. I think, Virgos tend to have this desire to control like their environment, their outcome, because there is the anxiety that's stemming from perfectionism. Like, if I don't do it, it won't get done right kind of energy. And to have all these planets moving through the 6th house, I feel like can be lighting up that energy for you. And as a Leo rising, you guys are very passionate, heart-centered, creative, fun. And Virgo energy is very different. Virgo energy is very efficient, very controlled, very thoughtful. It's like the Leos are the spontaneous ones that like to be in front, and Virgos are the ones that like to be behind the scenes. So it's really interesting that you guys are having such a deep transformation in the sign that directly follows yours. I shouldn't say in the sign, in the house that directly follows yours on the astrology wheel. And so it's almost like the antithesis of you in certain ways, but then it's also the building upon of you. And there are overlaps. So I shouldn't say the antithesis, but in certain ways, Virgos are direct opposites of you. And so having Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto moving through this house, I feel like has really been doing construction to like the opposite side of you, if that makes sense. And I like that it's making a sextile to this new moon in your 4th house, because the new beginning for you that's happening with this new moon is coming at the core of who you are. The 4th house is our home, it's our family, it's our roots, and at the center of it is the core or the essence of who we are. I think of us as like a baby. We are being programmed by our family, and that's like how the core of us develops, is through this programming, constantly being told things, shown things, taught things as children. And so I feel like as Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto have been moving to the 6th house, it's kind of been revising the other side of you that maybe you have less energy in. It's been calling and drawing attention to perfectionism. It's been calling and drawing attention into being behind the scenes, to working on your habits, to really focusing on your health, to really getting down to the nitty-gritty. And you've been doing a lot of work in these areas, transforming these areas that are typically Virgo topics that are not typically at the forefront for you. And what it's doing, all of that work that you've done, is supporting this new beginning that is allowing you to change at the core of who you are. And it's also making a trine to Neptune in your 8th house, which is saying that all of the deeper shadow work, the spiritual work that you do, is also supporting this core change to who you are. And the 4th house and the 10th house are activating each other always. So whenever you have a new moon in one area, you know it's going to be activating the opposite area in some respect, because opposites on the chart always kind of interact and play together. So for you to have this core change at who you are in the 4th house with this new moon, it's also going to stimulate the 10th house, which is your career or your outward placement in the world. So as you change who you are, you're going to show up in a really different way in your career, and you're going to start to achieve new and better things because of these deep internal changes. You guys are also having Venus in Libra in the 3rd house, and this is making a square to Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto in the 6th house. So this square here is a point of tension, asking you to create a change or refinement in order to release a tension. So there is some tension between the transformation that you've been undergoing in your habits, your daily routines, all the Virgo topics I was just mentioning, your health, your efficiency. Those changes are only going to get you so far. It's almost like you have to change your mindset around those things in order to fully see the results. And having Venus in Libra is saying, in the 3rd house, is saying that you need to find a balanced mindset. Because having so much of that energy moving to the 6th house, as I mentioned, can create a great deal of self-criticism. But you can't like balance your daily routines and all of those things and maintain them from a place of self-criticism. You can't beat yourself up into being someone different. You have to love yourself through that process. And the self-love is what's going to create your ability to create lasting change. And so having Venus and Libra here in the third house, I feel like what it's saying is that there has to be this balance between self-criticism and self-love. And how can you meet somewhere in the middle to create the most effective change in your day-to-day life? And that is what's going to support you changing on a deeper core level. Because those little things about your daily life, yeah, it changes things, but like what really is being changed is the deeper side of you. And as I mentioned, you have Mercury, or maybe I didn't mention this, but I'm mentioning it now. You have Mercury moving through your 4th house, and this is opposing Uranus in the 10th house. So again, you guys are going to, from this place of changing your core, you are going to get new insights about your career. You're going to start up leveling. You're going to be like, how did I not think about that before or see that before? However, it's also making a quincunx to Chiron in the 9th house. So there might still be part of you that, although you have these new ideas about how to approach your career, there might be part of you that still feels like there is some pessimism around your beliefs, around what you can achieve. And the pessimism is always coming from the past. So there's like things from your past lives or past childhood wounds that are coming up that basically are saying, like, can you trust this new idea? Can we be optimistic that this can come through, that this can come to fruition? So it's like there needs to be a change in belief and optimism in order to fully feel and embrace these new ideas and to feel like, yes, I can do this. So at the core of this, you guys are transforming deeply. A new moon is Scorpio in the 4th house. Yeah, it's getting down to the core essence of yourself and what comprised you throughout your childhood. So I'm excited to see what you guys manifest in 6 months from now. I think you're going to feel like you're more of the person that you were meant to be without the programming from childhood. So I hope that this resonates. If so, please comment down below or give me a thumbs up, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.